Hi everybody, welcome to episode 15of the Teesside Business Podcast. Today we are unbelievably lucky to have Andy Preston with us.
Hello.
Who's taking the time out to have a chat with us about all things business in Teesside. We'll jump right into it as we always do. For maybe the one person who doesn't know who you are in Teesside, can you give us a bit of
there's definitely loads of people who don't know. Absolutely, most people don't know me. My name is Andy Preston, and people say to me, what do you do? And I say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like lots of different things. It's very hard to say what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a builder. I'm not a bricklayer. I don't have one thing. But I set up and run a few charities.
Yep.
The biggest one locally is the Middlesbrough and Teesside Philanthropic Foundation.
Yep.
I also set up the Fork in the Road restaurant.
Yep.
With a couple of trustees.
Yep.
Who I should mention. And that's in Linthorpe Road, Middlesbrough. But there's a bunch of other stuff that I do as well.
Yep.
Invest in some businesses and do this and that.
Would you class yourself as like, I know the label's really bandied around a lot and it's getting worse, but entrepreneur?
I don't know what an entrepreneur is, but
If I was going to
I
class
don't
anybody,
think of myself as one, but
No.
I don't know. The thing is as well about self-labels is, whenever I hear someone describe themselves as an entrepreneur, I think, what a knob.
Yeah.
You know, you
It's
do.
It's got a bit of a pretentious type
It's like
thing
when
around it, isn't it?
you see on someone's social media profile or LinkedIn that describe themselves as a maverick.
Yeah.
Anyone who calls himself a maverick is
Yeah,
a knob, aren't they?
yeah,
They're not a maverick, and
No.
they're a knob.
Yeah,
So,
it's a bit of a thing.
so I think entrepreneurs kind of in that bracket.
I love at the moment that you see a lot, especially with people in the UK, CEO.
Yes.
And I was like, but you don't have CMO or any of those things.
Totally.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
just such a crazy thing.
You sell fruit in the market.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's start. Can you give us a brief overview of your career history? I know it's been a very...
Okay. Well, I'm pretty old now, but I started out and I couldn't get a job, and I had to I finished school, couldn't get a job. I didn't do very well, so I went to sixth form college to retake some O levels.
Yep.
But didn't do very well.
Yep.
I ended up joining the Air Force.
Yep.
And then I went to university. Went to night school. Went to university.
Okay.
And this was getting into like the late 80s. The big careers, the exciting careers for young men that were ambitious were perhaps advertising, but certainly working in finance on the financial markets as a trader. So that's what I wanted to do. So I eventually got in to do that as a graduate trainee, and I worked really hard.
Yeah.
And I prospered, and I did well actually. I was successful in that career.
Yeah.
So that's given me lots of life chances and opportunities.
Was it just trading stocks or what kind of stuff did you do? 'Cause obviously it's a very broad thing within finance.
Well, it's actually dead simple. If I sat down with anyone, with you or with anyone who's going to listen or watch, I could explain it in like an hour.
Yeah.
But to explain it in about 30 seconds is really tough. But it was complicated. But I was a specialist. Like I became an expert in this one narrow field of finance.
Yeah.
That is a thing called convertible bonds and some equity derivatives.
Yeah.
And I had a specialism in that and prospered doing that.
Oh, fantastic. So what was the next thing after you did that?
So I did that, and that was I think it was like a 10-year career, maybe a bit more. I was good at that, and I was challenged by employers to build businesses for them.
Yep.
And the last thing I was asked to do was build a big hedge fund business.
Okay.
They actually said build a hedge fund business, but it ended up being really big.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. They gave me $50 million.
Yep.
To start the business, and it's what you call seed capital.
Yeah. Did you raise capital as well from outside sources?
Yeah. So the 50 million was like to kick it off, and then I went literally around the world talking at conferences, knocking on doors, meeting people to ask them for more money.
Yeah.
So I literally went to places like the World Bank in Washington DC and Goldman Sachs Asset Management in Princeton, New Jersey, and asked them all for money, and they often did give us money. I was actually good at the marketing.
Yeah.
And we took the 50 million up to 5 and a bit billion over a few years.
Oh, that's incredible.
So that was a big hedge fund in those days.
Yeah.
It's probably still quite big.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was very big in those days.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I made some great friends and met some incredible people.
Must be a very high pressured fast, especially looking after £5 billion of everybody's money.
Well, yes and no. You know what? It kind of is. And sometimes you get kind of like obsessed with yourself and your life, and you kind of like live in this little bubble and you think, oh, I'm so stressed and it's so tough. But truthfully, I reckon it's a lot more stressful if you are earning £16,000 a year and your car breaks down, and you're thinking, how the hell do I find the money to fix the car so I can get to work? I think, and that's what kind of always struck me, is that sometimes I'd be stressed and going bananas and not sleeping and worrying. I think, actually, you know what? I'm fine. My family are fine. It's far more stressful.
Incredible perspective to be able to keep.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not easy to retain that, but you have to force yourself to do it.
Yeah. So did you have anybody that, like, was it you've got, like, you know, your mum or your dad on the phone, like, helping you keep that perspective, or was it always something that kind of like was in your brain?
It might be my wife. It might be just I don't know. You know, I think I'm a regular guy, and I have regular guys as friends by and large, and I don't think I needed reminding that I was fortunate to be in that situation, be given that opportunity to work hard, have a bit of stress, but gain some big rewards. And I was lucky.
Yeah. So what was the next steps for you after you came out of, obviously, the hedge fund?
So I came out of that, and I'd been involved for a number of years in some charities, in particular, well, two in particular. One called ARC, a big philanthropic group in London.
Yep.
And ARC was brilliant because it got money from people who had money.
Yep.
It wasn't like shaking a tin outside Tesco's.
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's better when rich people give more.
Yeah.
So this charity
you
targeted...
do more with it, I imagine.
Totally.
You know, yeah.
So it targeted people who got money and said, right, give us a lot of money. So people were giving 30 grand, 300 grand, £1 million. ARC was and is an incredible charity.
Yeah.
Back in those days, it was doing things like buying anti-AIDS drugs for sub-Saharan Africa and other kinds of really precious, life-saving work. I also got involved with Fairbridge. Now, Fairbridge was a great charity based in the 6 poorest urban areas of the UK. So predictably, they had one in Teesside, and I became heavily involved with them. And I became the chairman of Fairbridge Teesside's sort of support committee, and we raised the profile and raised money for them. And then Fairbridge became part of the Prince's Trust. Okay, the Prince's Trust sort of absorbed them. Yeah. So when that happened, I thought, right, well, you know, good luck. That's great. Now they've got Prince Charles's help. They don't need my money. That's probably not quite true, but that's a light-hearted way of explaining. That was my time to sort of exit and move on to other things. So I set up the Middlesbrough and Teesside Philanthropic Foundation. With a lady called Tanya Garland, and
who obviously had news bridges based on Teesside in the CNE building.
That was her sister.
Sorry,
both very successful businesswomen.
Yep, sorry, terrible.
And Tanya is involved in media, PR, marketing and branding. She's based in Middlesbrough, Newcastle and London, to my knowledge now.
Brilliant.
Tanya's very successful as well. So, as well as her sister.
Yeah.
So we got that going, and it was basically me knocking on doors.
Yep.
So now then, give us £5 grand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did. Yeah. And we raise on average £200,000-300,000 a year. Been going for I think 6 or 7 years, and raised. I get confused with the numbers sometimes. I think it's about. Is it about 3 million, or have I grossly overstated it? We had a really big year. I think we might be something like maybe it's 2.5 million. Yeah. I really should know.
Yeah, but it's it's a fantastic.
Either way, it's doing incredible work. It's creating apprenticeships. It's stocking food banks. We write some big checks to some great causes, but sometimes we write a small check, which literally changes a family's life. Like we bought. Sorry, am I talking too much?
No, that's exactly what you're here for. You know what I mean? It's what
you asked me sometimes.
Yeah.
We were contacted. I actually got an email one Friday night from a headmaster in Thornaby. I won't say who and what school, but he said that he had a family in his school he was very concerned about. Family had moved up to the area and they didn't have any support network. There was a mother and 3 kids, and 2 of the kids were boys and they were sharing a bed. Yeah. And you know, at my age, like my dad's generation all talked about those 3 in a bed and 5 in a bed and all the rest of it. This day and age, it's not appropriate, but most importantly, the boys were very different ages. I think one might have been 12 and one might have been 7. Yeah, so it's not appropriate. Yeah. It was affecting how much sleep they got. It was affecting how well they did at school. Yeah, of course. Affecting the mother's stress levels. So with just a few £100, I think about £420, we were able to help the school to buy the family some bunk beds. Yeah. And the latest report from that school is that the kids doing well, mother's stress levels are going down, and it's just that little intervention. Of course, it hasn't changed the world, but it has improved that family's life. So that charity's been going for 7 years or something like that. I'm very proud of that.
And I know you've got like a very wide range. It's not just stuff like that. Like we've got we've got a jersey in the next room, like one of the athletes from the local area, Kelly Jo Robson, we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
You helped her go to the Commonwealth Games that you did very, very well at.
Absolutely.
So it's a variety of things that you guys do. So what do you think about business in Teesside currently at the moment? It's something that you're really passionate about. You talk about a lot, obviously. You wouldn't be where you are if you didn't love business, you know.
Sure.
So do you think we're in a good place? Is it a bit of a bubble? Because obviously there's loads and loads of businesses opening. What do you think is good and bad about the local area?
Well, I think, I love Teesside. It's where I'm from. It's where my family are, my friends are. So it's in my heart, and I really mean that. It's also a bit of an underdog, right? Perhaps treated badly, had some bad times. So that makes your passion for something even stronger. You feel a stronger emotional link. I think Teesside's got some incredible businesses, some really great big businesses, and some fantastic small businesses. I think that on the whole, things are improving. I think on the whole, though, that we need to do a lot more. I think that we don't necessarily need to start more businesses. We've got one of the highest business failure rates. I think a lot of people that shouldn't start a business do.
I agree with that.
But I think there's a lot of people out there that could. And there's a lot of people that start businesses that could do more with some help and some guidance. So I think the business scene in Teesside is mirroring the rest of the country. It's improved a lot over the last few years. There's more energy, there's more money around, there's more optimism, and more money to be made. But I think in Teesside we need more role models. We need role models that go into school. We need to talk about business.
I want to talk to you about business in education, actually. It's something that, again, it's something we've spoke about in the past. I try not to be vocal on it because I think teachers do an amazing job with what they're given, but the education system isn't set up well for entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Do you think it's something that it does need to change as it goes on? Is it still kind of opening your own business or becoming an apprentice was kind of like a bit of a dirty word kind of when I was at school? You kind of like, it was very much kind of you go to college, you go to university. It was never ever mentioned for us, you know, but even though that was a long time ago, do you think it's something that we need to be setting up more? Like more people going into the talks?
We do. I mean, there's loads of great things that are done in schools, and there are loads of great things they're not doing. The problem is they've only got the kids for a short amount of time each day. And only not even that much of the year, really, when you add up all the holidays.
No.
So it's really hard when they're under pressure on the curriculum and they're getting tested with SATs and Ofsted and all the rest of it. And rightly so. I'm glad they get SATs tests, and I'm glad that Ofsted inspects the schools. But it does take up time from the schools. So to start saying now, you've got to do this, they can, but they're going to have to drop something else. And what do you drop? I don't know. But is there a role for more business stuff in schools? Yes. I suspect they shouldn't teach business in schools.
No.
But they should get a role model in.
Yeah.
And I don't mean someone my age, because when you're 15, who's interested in me, right? No one.
Thing is, though, you say that, but I think you'd be surprised. You know, I think the face of what people are looking at, like, business is becoming more and more in young people's eyes something that they see that they can do. Whether it be the growth of tech and things like that. They look to, like, you know, obviously the Holy Grail of Mark Zuckerberg, etc. But I think there's a lot of people who would want to know because they're probably curious, but they've got no frame of reference.
But I'm thinking that really going to schools let's say you had a Friday morning assembly and someone stands up and talks for 10 minutes. If it's on business, most people go into business because they're kind of interested in money to some extent. It varies. So you need someone who's probably young. Younger the better, because they'll relate to that, right? They don't want me. They want like a 22-year-old. He's got a business. He's got his Porsche in the car park. Hopefully he does a wheel spin as he drives in. Gets them all cheering. And then says, right, it is lovely to have a nice car, but you know what? You got to work really hard. Really, really, really hard. This is how I did it. If you're interested, you can follow up by doing this, this, and this. And I think you can have then follow-ups, like maybe it's a little summer course or a night thing after school. Because I do think we've got to inspire that. I try not to be crass and gross about money, and I tend not to talk about it a lot. But money and the trappings of money. They encourage and inspire many kids.
Yeah, of course.
And young people. So I think you've got to get, rather than get me in, you need a youngster who's bought his first Porsche. Or someone like that. Who can say, look at me, and they go, wow, that could be me in 5 years. So we need a bit of that. And we need to explain how you make money, how you lose money, and things like that. But definitely more of that in schools. My gut feel is like by the form of an inspirational talk, and then maybe it's a bit after school. Rather than a bit less maths or a bit less art.
Stuff that might not be applicable other than when they're bit maths maybe, I don't know. So what kind of stuff can we be doing in the local community? Let's say I had a magic wand and I could tomorrow make anything happen with the local business community, with the backing of local government or whatever it may be. What kind of things would be really good for us?
That is a really good question. Now, I don't think this is a Teesside problem, but I just see that. Let me turn around another way. I could name some people, and I won't name them, but I'll talk about them. There are about 5 people I can think of that have genuinely from nothing, without any background in like business or well-to-do families, have gone on to create incredible businesses. And you can judge an incredible business various ways, but if we were to use money, I'm talking businesses worth, many tens or hundreds of millions.
Which is an incredible thing.
Which is incredible, absolutely. And money isn't everything, but it is a way of measuring a business. And the people I know who've done that, they all share some characteristics. Right? And they all share the following characteristics. And these may or may not surprise you. They are all generous. They are all generous with their money. Before they had money, they were generous. They were generous with their time. They are generous with their courtesy. If they're talking to you, they're interested in what you've got to say. They ask you how you are. So that generosity, that spirit of generosity, there is something about the world, and I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not talking about karma, but maybe in a kind of way I'm saying something similar, that if you go out into the world and are generous with your time, a little bit of your money and your energy, good things tend to happen. They do. So the people I know who've done extraordinarily well, they are generous. They all are quite bright. None of them are actually like outliers. None of them are unusually bright. But they're all kind of maybe a bit above average, able to turn their hands to most things. They're all that way. They've all been incredibly hardworking. All been incredibly hardworking, like regularly doing 60 hours a week. Now that might be 60 hours over 5 days, or might be 60 hours over 7 days, or whatever. They do it differently according to their lifestyle, but they have all been willing to do whatever it takes. And if that means literally staying up till 3 a.m, to get an email written perfectly, so it's got the right words and phrases in, so it inspires someone to help them. They're the kind of people who would do that. So that hard work is really important. Another thing I would say that they definitely all share is that help. They all are willing to ask others for help. And whether it's pride or whether it's just ignorance, I don't know. But a lot of people don't like to ask for help.
I can understand that, especially in business. Especially when people don't want to ever be perceived as weak or struggling and things like that. And, I thoroughly believe it's one of the best things that you can do. I've reached out to some local entrepreneurs that I won't name, but and asked them, like I did for yourself, for your time, which is, the most valuable thing you can ask. And you've met me for coffee and things like that, and we've had a chat about their lives, which is incredibly valuable, to me, and it's an incredibly valuable thing to ask of them. But I can definitely see how a lot of people wouldn't want to ask for help, especially in business.
Well, they should. The trick is you mustn't be a dick about it and be a pain and keep asking the same person over and over again because they get absolutely fed up. But what I find is if someone approaches another human the right way and explains why they've come to them and explains what the problem is and provides them with a really simple way of helping them. I don't mean, will you give me an hour a week for the next 3 years, but can you do this little thing for me? Can you introduce me to so-and-so? Can we have a coffee? Can you do this? There are very few people I know who would say no. And in fact, the people I know have been most successful. They're people who would go out their way to say yes, if they can. And I think that generosity with help, but that being willing to ask for help is a two-way thing. So being willing to ask for help is like really, really, really important. And don't be shy. Don't be shy. You've got to pitch it right, and you mustn't be stupid, and you don't try and get, Mark Zuckerberg on the phone. You know what I mean? To help give you a bit of help with a tweet.
Of course.
There's a time and a place and a level of person to ask, but asking other people for help, people like being asked, so long as it's a simple request. What else can I say? What's the last characteristic they all had in common? I would say they vary in amounts of how outgoing they are, whether they're introvert, extrovert. But all of them are willing to be a bit embarrassed. For the sake of doing the right thing. So if they think that going to see so-and-so, or standing up at this conference, or shouting this out, or, I don't know, doing whatever it is, they are willing to look stupid if it's for part of a greater plan. And I meet lots of people who just aren't. And they say they want something. I think I look a bit daft. Or what will people think? Bollocks.
I know.
So long as you're not absolutely humiliating someone else. And so long as you're not damaging your own brand or the brand you're trying to sell. Be willing to be embarrassed.
Or to put yourself out there.
God, I don't believe there's anyone in the world who on their deathbed thinks, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. That was embarrassing."
You know what? I can't remember who said it, but it was something. It's one of the two things that one was said by my dad, but the other somebody else. Like, I can't remember who said it now, but they said if you're on your deathbed in the future and you could go back to now, what would you want to do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's like. I think about it a lot, for a lot of things and stuff like that. Like, if you're on your deathbed, like, I believe that we can deal with failure quite well at the time. Like, it's devastating for a lot of different things. But I think regret destroys people. When I've spoken to, my gran who's well into her 90s and things like that, and other people, and it's like, it's regret that really, destroys people unbelievably.
Absolutely. You know what? My kids, one's 13 and one's 10, and they picked up this word at school, and I hear them calling each other loser. And I hate it. I feel uncomfortable hearing that word. And I hate people being branded a loser because I think it's just so nasty. But in truth, the losers in the world, if there are people who are losers, it isn't the people who try and fail. It genuinely is the people who won't try. Then you are a loser. If you're not willing to try because it's a bit embarrassing, or you're worried what so-and-so think, that is a losing strategy.
It is,
That's a losing mindset.
I think going back to things like people who call other people losers, I think that's one of anybody, if they try and, whether it be their marketing by putting somebody else down, or you see comments that other people think that, why did you do that? That's a bad idea. That for me is the unbelievable first tell of someone who, like, even if they're successful now, in the long term of the game or whatever it'll be, it'll come around. Like,
I was stood with some people somewhere recently, and there was a guy who went jogging past, and he was jogging very slow, and he was, to be blunt, he was a big fat guy, and he was struggling, and he was huffing and puffing and sweating, and a couple of people had a little giggle, and I nearly, I didn't say something, but I nearly did, and I thought, you know what, he's not a loser, he's actually a champion, he deserves a bigger round of applause than the guy who wins the Olympics. This is someone who's willing to look daft, possibly in some people's eyes, to get out there, to try and change his life, to lead a better, healthier, more productive life. God, he should be getting a round of applause. And I would genuinely applaud anyone who's willing to have a go. And if it doesn't work out, so what? If you do it and it works, that's great. If you do it and it doesn't work, that's great too. It's better than not doing it.
It is, And I think not all, but there's a good portion of business owners, etc., there who've had projects or businesses that haven't done well. And they've either had to close them or change how it looks and stuff like that. We were laughing this morning. We were clearing some stuff out in the office and just the amount of stuff that found. And I found some tags from a clothing business I started years and years ago. Terrible idea. But, we just laughed at that these things come and happen. Speaking of, like, it was really interesting that you mentioned the guy, like, taking action and going forward. Do you think there is a defining trait for people who start their own businesses that are one of these people who, rather than meticulously plan everything and get, like, obviously there's a portion of that, but just start? We were talking just before we started recording the podcast that there's a lot in Teesside where people will just start a business, try and not make it up as they go, but adapt as they go.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a very common trait? Do you think it's a good thing?
I do. And there's a balance, isn't there? Because my wife, when we launched the Philanthropic Foundation, the charity, my wife is like a planner. You know, she's a detailed person, and I'm not a detailed person. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? You know, you're doing this and you're doing that, and you've got a website. The charity doesn't even exist yet. So but it's going through the legals, and I think that I'm not a bull in a china shop, but I will have a plan, but I'll be appropriate with the detail. Some detail you need to sort out up front. Of course. And some detail actually you can handle as you're going along. Now, there's a balance to that and there's an art to that. I hope that I get it about right, generally. Sometimes I don't, but I hope I get it about right. I meet people all the time who come to me and they've got an idea, they've got a business they've started, or they've got an idea they want to start, and they just haven't thought about any of it. Never mind the detail, they haven't thought of the most basic things. I'm trying to think of an example without humiliating someone who might have come to me.
Maybe even then, if we could have, like, let's say there's countless people who watch it who are thinking about starting their own business. What kind of details should somebody look at before they start a business?
Well, it really depends on a lot of things. I think the biggest failure that people have is they come up with a good idea. Right? And good idea, that's great. That's actually the easiest bit.
We joke about that all the time. It's terrible, and I'm sorry to swear on the podcast, but ideas are shit and execution's everything. Like, everybody says that about a business. Oh, it's just having a great idea. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, a talented businessman could literally take anything and make it succeed.
I think there are four stages to a business. The first one is the idea. It's the easiest bit of all. Right? The second bit is working out, how do I actually make this? Let's say it's for, I don't know, a piece of equipment. How do I make it? How do I go from the idea to actually making it like this thing that people can understand or touch? The third thing then is, how do I market it to people? Right? How do I actually reach the customer? And these are all getting progressively harder. Right? The first one is the idea. The second one is making it happen. The third one is, how do you market it and make people aware of it? And the fourth one is the final one, which is even the hardest, is how do you get them to pay enough for that so the whole thing is profitable? And all of those, and I meet people who are at stage one and think they're at stage three, and they're not. And they go, I just need help with the last bit. And I'm like, all you've got is an idea. You and your mate in a bedroom, you know. Probably after a pizza and a beer. And then you go to me and say, I want some money. And I think that's the thing, is not have all the info and all the detail for each of the four stages, but once you've got your idea, to work out what you think those stages are, how you're going to do them, who can help you, how much money is needed. And I'm constantly amazed by how many people there are
that don't get those early bits.
But I guess it's fun to come up with an idea, isn't it? So everyone comes up with an idea. Everyone comes up with an idea for a film or a novel. And it's fun, isn't it? The other thing is, I also meet people who they have a really good idea, and I say, great, go away and plan this. And they spend the next year planning finer detail. And they really didn't need to. I think sometimes that's a delaying tactic, isn't it?
It is.
They don't actually want to take the risky bit.
Something like we see a lot, and we talk to them, it's like, oh yeah, we've got this idea for business and it's good, you know, very sounds like, we just need to get the name right. And I was like, look, like our business has got the worst name for a business, like a digital agency ever. But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know, if you think Nike, doesn't tell you it's sportswear or anything like that. But now,
I think a good name helps in the beginning. Obviously, once you're established, it's completely irrelevant. But it's the least important thing. Isn't it? I think.
Absolutely. So you mentioned briefly there, like, obviously going to see people for help, and obviously I imagine you get asked for help where time, money, investment, etc., etc. It's something that we were talking about before that's not very popular in Teesside. When you go, like, it's very popular in tech and things like that, but where people raise money to start a business. Either go out and find people who want to invest in it, or like a Dragon's Den model for people who like, you know, that kind of thing. Do you think it's something that we should do more in Teesside? Do you think it's something do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing?
I think it'd be good if there was most big urban areas have got a scene which is like where potential investors and people who are looking for money to make something happen can meet and possibly exchange, do business.
There was an investors thing recently at the Teesside Uni. I can't remember.
Was there? I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't go, but I was aware.
I mean, there is stuff like that goes on in Teesside, and I have been involved in a little way in bits of it. But it's less developed here.
Yeah,
I would say than it is in some other places. Now, why that is, I don't know. It's not that essential, to be honest. I think very often, if you are starting out, you can usually start out and get something going in a really tiny way by borrowing and stealing, right? And then if you're onto something great, there'll be a way of getting that money. It'd be good if it was local money.
Yeah.
But if you have to go to Leeds, it's not the end of the world.
No.
We should definitely have it here.
Yeah.
But I don't see the money as ever much of a barrier.
No.
I don't see that. I don't come across many businesses where I think, if only I'd had an extra 30 grand at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't see that very often.
No. It's not where it's a make or break thing. I imagine the ones that are going to succeed will make it regardless if they have the money.
I think you find a way, or you go knocking on doors.
Yeah.
And they're probably going knocking doors in Newcastle and Leeds.
Yeah.
So it would definitely be good if there were more doors to knock on here. And I've tried to get something going along those lines. But maybe the time wasn't right. But it's always good to have money locally that can invest locally. Yeah. Because then if a company's sold and everyone makes a lot of money, that stays locally, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gets spent in the shops and in the car garage and the whatever.
So obviously we haven't got like an infrastructure or something like that, but there are investors out there who do invest in businesses.
Of course.
Yourself, one of them, etc.
Yeah.
I know we briefly discussed that you're an angel investor and things like that, which is again something that's not very popular around here. Are there any? And obviously you've invested in businesses and sold businesses and done incredibly well, but other business, as an investor, what would you look for in a business that are good at? Like, is it a case that it's an original or an incredibly niche market, or would it advance somewhere you think that your time could help accelerate a business? It might be that they'd get there in 10 years, but with your help they could do it in 4.
It's seeing that 4 stages, right? Yeah. It's having a sense of those clear 4 stages.
Yeah.
Like, and the last one, just to remind everyone, is it's being able to reach the customers and get them to pay enough.
Yeah.
The customer's been willing to pay enough that the whole thing's profitable.
Yeah.
Because often it falls down there is that they think, we've got the idea, we can make the product, we can market it to people, but no one's willing to pay what we need. Yeah. Anyway, to get to that 4th stage is where I'm looking for. Is this can this get there? But then it's people. Sometimes you look at someone and think, I don't really want to work with you. Yeah. I just don't. You've got too much attitude, or you're too this, or they're probably thinking that about me. Yeah. And that's fine. But sometimes the chemistry's got to be right. An example would be, there was a lad came to me called Jordan, and he sent me an email first, I think, or a LinkedIn message. Mm-hmm. And I usually just politely reply and say, I'm too busy, sorry. Yeah, of course. But there was something about it that made me want to meet him, and I don't know what. So I met Jordan for a coffee, and Jordan had worked offshore. Mm-hmm.
Very popular in Teesside.
Yeah, and he was some kind of rigger, and he would be on the ropes, and he had some inspecting stuff, I don't know. Yeah. And he had this little electronic pack, and he would have to plug in these things to test things. Yeah. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So it was attached to his harness with these wires. Yeah. And what he worked out was these wires, when he's getting blown around a bit, they're dangling all over the place and wrapping around his neck. And it was potentially a health and safety issue. It was an issue that they get damaged and the equipment's no longer working. And because he'd actually not just had a good idea, he'd actually seen
it in action.
And then he'd actually gone and had a prototype made. Yeah. Now, the prototype didn't work. There was a flaw in the manufacturing. Yeah. But we understood that, or he did, and I believed him, that could be put right. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, how does he reach potential customers? Well, he'd already made inquiries and had some interest and feedback. Yeah. And we are confident that the pricing will work. So I then brought an engineer and I know who's very familiar with the oil and gas sector. Yeah. To work with him. So between us, we put a little bit of money in to own a minority of the company. Yeah. And we're hoping that product goes to the market soon, and all these guys offshore are testing stuff, dangling from ropes, swinging the rind, safer, and the equipment lasts longer.
Well, if there's like injuries, etc., and time off that's occurred because of this, then the money savings do
completely. So listen, these things are always really risky, and they're always less likely to work than you think.
Yeah.
If you think it's 50-50, it always ends up being a 40-60.
Yeah,
you know? If you think it's a cert, it's a 75-25. But I think this has got a good chance because it seemed to me that all of the 4 bases looked achievable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the most recent one I've done.
Yeah. Do you think that a big part of that is obviously why you want Wim is because, like the story that you just told there, he'd already taken a lot of action. He'd had the idea, he'd done the prototype, he'd already got interest in it.
Yeah.
You know, he isn't just coming and go, Andy, I've got an idea for an app. Give me X amount,
Exactly. I've got an idea to change the world of running.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Exactly. No.
Yeah, yeah.
I think possibly it was because he was so clear about what it was about. He was so clear about what the issue was, how he could fix it. He'd made inquiries. He'd had a prototype made. He knew who to sell it to.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's quite exciting. We'll see if that works. We've also got people. He was quite naive though in some other areas, and I think he's getting help from me and someone else on that, which is great. But similarly, I've had approaches on other businesses where I've looked at it and I said, "Well, what's this number?" And they say, "Oh, I don't know. I'll come back to you."
Yeah.
So they come back with some numbers of their business, and I look at it, I say, "You know, you're not making any money."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Really?" And you can see their jaws drop.
Yeah, yeah.
They actually, they're so confused and busy with the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't actually understand because they know that they're selling stuff for a price, and they know they've got money to come in, and they know they've got some invoices they need to pay, but they're never quite on top of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it all just feels like a bit of a mess. But when I actually went through it all, I said, "You're not making any money."
Yeah, yeah.
And their jaws just dropped, and they never came back to me.
Yeah.
Because I think they realised.
Yeah.
And they're a bit mortified.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And sometimes, you don't want to be clever or put people down, but you have to be clear with people.
Well, yeah, it's it's on and off thing. You make money or you don't. As an investor, if it's not making money,
if someone comes and says, "I've got this thing, and it's great, and it could really grow." At the moment, we're not making money.
Yeah.
But what we can do is do this, this, and this to overcome that. Yeah. That's a different combo.
Yeah, yeah.
But if someone comes to you and says, "I've got this great business, and this is what we're doing,"
and they don't know that,
that's like, wow. I can't get involved in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that you mentioned there was risk. That obviously investing in things, but a massive part of business is risk. Obviously, you come from hedge fund background and things like that. You must have learned to do with, like, that is a risk, I imagine, for most trades and things like that. Like, do you think that being able to tolerate risk is a massive part of owning a business? Do you think it is essential?
Yeah,
some people don't like risk at all.
Yeah, I think the anything that's worth having, involves a bit of risk.
Yeah.
Anything that you are aiming for, right, that you have to stretch a bit for, involves a bit of risk. It has to, whether that's going for a job. Whether it's asking your boss for promotion, that's whether it's asking for a pay rise, whether it's starting out on your own, whether it's taking bigger premises and taking more. Everything that's worth having, everything that can get you somewhere involves taking some risk. So risk is part of life. It's about taking intelligent risk.
Yeah.
If your risk is that and your reward is that, for God's sake, don't take it.
Yeah.
If your reward is going to be that, and your risk is only that, take that all day.
Oh yeah.
Even though the risk is small, doesn't mean it won't go wrong.
Yeah.
But just see it. But you need to know to be able to quantify that from the outset.
Yeah.
So risk versus reward. That's the thing. Risk is there. Risk is in everything.
Yeah.
But it's about, does the reward justify the risk? If it doesn't, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's knowing what the risk is and being able to experience would tell you, whether it's good or not.
Completely.
One of the things that I wanted to talk, we talk about everybody who comes on the podcast that we briefly mentioned is work-life balance.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that there should be like a set guidelines with this is what work-life balance looks like, because I believe it's different for everybody. Is it something that you've focused on throughout your career, or is it when you had a family?
Yeah.
Like, do you think it
definitely
comes well to you?
So I always I was really, really driven, and when I started in finance, I thought, oh, this is my chance to make some money and build a real future for myself. Yeah. And for that opportunity, I would have done almost literally anything, almost literally anything. And so working much longer hours than anybody else was nothing to me. I did anything. And I would have worked any number of days, any number of hours. Just on a trivial level, they would say, you need to start work at 6:30. So I'd be there at 6. Just to make sure I was there first. They could see I was there. Right, I'm keen. I'm going to, if they said you finish at 5, I'd be there till 6. If they said go and get your lunch, I'd go around the office and say, does anybody else want lunch? I'm going out. And I made it my business to just do whatever it took to stand out, to achieve my own goals. So I've always been willing to do huge amounts. So my work-life balance has always been like very screwed up. However, as I'm getting older, my family's growing up, it's becoming increasingly clear that just how precious time is. And so now I never took holidays. Like I have loads of holidays now. That is now the most important thing in the world to me. Being on holiday with my family is the most important thing. That's the one time we're all together and like you don't get disturbed in the same way. There aren't the same
more control
issues or tensions, and you can genuinely do fantastic things. So I'm kind of getting closer to that balance. I'm getting closer there. My wife would still say I'm nowhere near, but I think I'm getting near it, to be honest. I do.
To be honest though, like when I've had chats with other business owners who've got like incredibly successful businesses, it looks very, very similar. That everyone says, oh yeah, like I've got work-life balance is important, etc. But I've yet to meet someone who didn't work insanely hard at the early stages. Like I know there's a lot of people who like talk about, the popular book, The 4-Hour Workweek and all this kind of stuff. I've never met anybody who built an insanely, successful business who worked a tiny amount. I may be wrong. If you're out there, please get in touch. We'd love to have you on the podcast. But it's something that's, I think, very different for everybody, and I think a lot of people kind of get, oh well, you've got to have X amount of time at home for it to be considered a good thing. But I think when I talk to some people who like, I was discussing recently with a friend, and I was like, I was around your house the other week, and your kids were running around, and you were on your PlayStation. Like you considered that work I have, but when I'm at home, like my phone's in another room.
Right, so that's a great idea. I need to do that.
My wife, like as we were talking before, it's 100% my wife kind of thing. Because I might be in the home less than somebody else, but I want to make sure that I'm there. If that makes sense.
No, totally in the room. Absolutely. And
I'm terrible at it. Like I really am bad. I'm not professing to say that I'm good at it. I'm really.
But I think actually you don't need that much time with people. I'll rephrase that. It's not the amount of time you spend with people; it's the quality of the time, isn't it? Absolutely. It's the engagement.
Completely.
So if you go the cinema together and you share that experience and you're driving home and you're talking about the film, that's really precious. And that's worth 3 days of all being sat on your phones in the same house, isn't it? Or even longer than that. But going back to my first point about the people I know being very, very, very successful, they have all worked incredibly hard, and I don't think there's a way of doing it without putting the hours in. And I get frustrated sometimes because I think if you're a public servant, if you work for the tax office or you've got certain jobs or you work for somebody else, I kind of think it's absolutely fine, and it's probably important that you get that balance right. However, I think there are certain jobs where I don't think it's fine. And for example, I don't think a senior politician who's involved in running the country, I don't want to hear that someone's taking a bunch of paternity leave or I don't know, taking every Friday off. To visit the kindergarten. First of all, the constituents can't, and secondly, your job is too important. If you want to spend more time with your family, you're in the wrong job, and it's the same for people that want to run a big business. If you want to build a big business, but you also want to spend most of your time at home having quality time, you're in the wrong line of work.
Completely.
Find something else. Be a part-time librarian or something. Sorry, that's not to be disrespectful to librarians, but you need a different kind of calling.
It is,
and you can't succeed or do anything that's incredibly responsible with bags of pressure that's 24/7. Like politics, proper politics, or like business. Without being willing to put huge numbers of hours in. There's no way around that.
So you mentioned the dirty word politics.
I've
touched on a little bit. You obviously ran for mayor a few years ago. I want to say three and a half. I want to say 3 years ago. Would you ever consider going back and running?
Definitely consider. I get loads of questions.
Obviously, it's something everybody asks you about. What are your thoughts on various things?
And I was asked about standing for Tees Valley Mayor, and I thought of that, but decided not to. Middlesbrough Mayor election is next year. I don't think so. Just think I've got loads of things to do.
Yeah.
And if I was to do that, it means that I will have to stop doing all of those.
Yeah, of course.
I'll have, at least temporarily, even less time with the family.
Yeah.
I'll become more grouchy, even more, hard to be around at times. So I'm not sure it's really a good idea. I'm not saying no. I mean, I love politics. I love issues. I love ideas. I love trying to improve things, and I find the most inspirational thing in the world, talking about business, is when someone wants to make a better life for themselves, or their family, or their community. And I find that just so inspiring and fantastic. So for the person that wants to start a business, or the person that wants to lead something in their community, or lead a city, I find that really inspiring. So long as they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, of course.
I find that really inspiring. So I am interested in that. I think I would do a good job.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but I've got lots of skills I would bring in. Fresh outlook, change the way things are done. But I do not think I will stand for Mayor of Middlesbrough next year.
Right. Always worth asking the question.
Yeah.
Speaking of questions, we ask everybody who comes on the podcast the 3 questions. I'm really looking forward to your answers. So the first one is, I'll tell you all the 3 first, and then we'll revisit them. So the first one is, what does success look like to you? Everybody's different. For some people, it is completely family time, as they can spend much time with family. That's success to them. Some people, it's 100 million in the bank. I think it's very individual, but I'm keen to hear everybody's. Okay. The second is, if you've had a failure or a setback in your life that has led or pointed you towards a great success. Obviously, I realise some of these are quite hard for you to think about off the cuff. And the third one is one thing that you're completely obsessed with at the moment. Can be anything: TV show, gadget, piece of clothing, pair of shoes, no matter what it is.
Good questions. And I've forgotten the first one.
Success. What does success look like?
Success. So I believe that the word success means you have achieved a goal.
Okay.
So you have to have had a stated goal. So it isn't money can't be success on its own.
Yep.
In my opinion. Certainly, for example, if someone wins the lottery, wins the Euro Millions, and gets their 150 million in the bank.
Yeah.
They haven't set out as a goal, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think success is when you achieve something you've striven for.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So to me, I would say that being financially comfortable was always a goal. I never have a number in mind.
Yep.
I'm not greedy. I don't want a super yacht or anything.
Yeah.
But I always wanted not to worry about money.
Yeah.
My family weren't poor, but I was always aware that money was tight when we were growing up, probably like most families. And I think that made me want to earn and have and be able to remove that stress. Of course, I've got lots of other stresses, but I don't have to worry about money. And I'm really lucky because I haven't had that stress for a long time. So I think success is achieving goals. So for me, it was about not being able to worry about money. It was about having a healthy and happy family. And I guess success for the rest of my life will be about achieving some goals. But if I can help my family and my friends to be fulfilled, be prosperous, that will be lovely to see happen, right? See my boys grow up and do things, whatever they want, whether they want to be a missionary, a barrister, a billionaire, whatever. To have goals and go and do them. I want to see that happening. And I want to see my friends and family prosper. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So the second one is a bit tricky to answer and to put you on the spot with it. Have you had any successes, any failures or setbacks that have led to a big success for you or a success for you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but absolutely, I've absolutely had some setbacks, like major catastrophic failures that people would see as such. I don't know if I can think of one.
It's a bit of a finite word, isn't it?
Failure. But I've had loads of setbacks, genuinely, and some are small, but some have been big. And sometimes, you think, do I just jack all this in? You you want to hide, to be honest. When you get a big setback, you just feel bruised, you feel embarrassed, you want to hide, you just want a steady job somewhere.
Clock in, clock out.
Yeah, exactly. But I think sometimes, it can be a piece of music that you hear that somehow just lifts you, raises some emotion. You think, no, I'm going to fight this, right? I'm going to fight this. I'm going to keep going. And or it could be someone say something to you. You could see, I don't know, a line in a film or something in a poster on the train or the underground, and you think, that's interesting. And it just sparks a slightly different way of thinking. And sometimes it takes 2 minutes to get out of a setback, and sometimes it takes 2 weeks. And I've had big ones and little ones, but you just got to keep fighting. If your goal made sense, and if your goal was achievable, and if the biggest barrier to achieving that goal is just going to be hard work, just don't give up. Just don't. Why give up? Why give up? When little setbacks happen, your brain chemistry changes a little bit, and it can make you feel negative. You want to go to bed and pull the covers up, and you've got to fight that. And it creeps on you, and you've got to stop it creeping. Exercise is good. So I would say really, 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 just fight those setbacks. Just fight those setbacks. Resilience is the best asset that anyone can have.
Completely.
Because you're going to get setbacks.
We're
all going to get setbacks.
Completely. And the last one is one thing that you are obsessed about at the moment.
Right.
Anything at all.
Well, I suppose this is... if you'd asked me a week ago, I could answer this more wholeheartedly, but I haven't practiced it for a week. But for probably a year, most days, I've been doing... meditation or mindfulness.
That's been getting really big within business.
And
a lot of people talk about the... I don't personally, but I know a lot of people talk about the benefits of it.
Well, I came across this app called Headspace.
I've heard of it,
which is free. So I tried it. I think at the time I was really stressed and worried about things, and and you get stressed and your heart speeds up and it makes you panic and overreact to things. And I think what meditation and mindfulness have done for me is just help me be a bit more level-headed. I'm still a bit nutty and a bit overexcitable and a bit too animated perhaps sometimes, but it's taken, if they were my lows and they were my highs before, it's pushed me more towards the middle. But it hasn't reduced my ambition or energy.
No.
It's increased my focus, it's increased my resilience. I can take criticism better. And I couldn't recommend it enough.
All right.
And the easiest way I do is on an app, which is free to use initially, and I think I now pay, 80 quid a year or something. And I can't recommend it enough. I haven't done it for 5 days. I've been very busy and quite stressed, which is when I need it.
But it's ironic, isn't it?
It is ironic, but I will be using it tonight. And when I use it every day, and I've recommended it to people I know, and I've said, try it. After 3 days, they call me and they say, I feel different. I feel more in control. Because that happens to all of us. That sense where things are out of control. Where you've got too many things, too many phone calls, you haven't answered emails, and you almost don't know where to start, and you become really unproductive. This just gets you back in a zone where you're in control. There's a lot to do, but you can handle it.
Kind of turn the volume down a little bit on everything.
That's exactly what it does. It turns all the noise down so you can get a clearer head. So that's my thing of the moment.
Fantastic. It's a great tip. So finally, is there anything that you would like to mention or promote a little bit while we're on the podcast?
I always want to promote stuff.
Go nuts.
So, well, I'll promote you. I'll tell you why. Because I think you came along and you really politely, sensitively, respectfully, said, can we meet for a chat, which I thought was really well handled. It was nice to meet you. I like your manner. I like the way you approach stuff. So I'm sure you're very good at this person-to-person marketing. Your business is called, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So I'm sure you're very good at that. So I would recommend, based on what I've seen, I would recommend people contact you if they've got any marketing needs for
thank you so much.
Social media. It's the first thing I would plug. But the bigger plug is for me.
Of course.
And the plug is... which one shall I plug? I'm going to plug 2 things if that's okay.
Absolutely.
But I'll be dead fast.
No, it's fine.
So the first one is the most fantastic, beautiful, stunning and exciting office scheme in the whole of Teesside. In fact, I promise it will be the best place for small businesses to work from Tyneside down to Leeds.
Bloody hell.
possibly with the exception of Leeds. It is going to be, it's 2 buildings, me and a friend have bought, and we're kitting out. It's called Level Q. And if someone wants a 1-person office, or a 20-person office, or a hot desk, they can become a member there and have those things.
Yep.
They will have access to a beautiful cafe with free tea and coffee, free wine. Who doesn't like free wine?
I know, God.
There is a fantastically equipped gym room on site,
which is a massive thing in this day and age. You know, like it's great to see people.
Talk about work-life balance, and this is for people that perhaps going to spend a lot of time at work. And they can just walk down the corridor to the gym. There will be showers there. There will be a cinema room. So you could show your own corporate videos. You could watch Wimbledon in the reclining chairs. 5-a-side pitch.
God.
It's dog friendly. You've got a dog.
We have,
You've got a dog friendly. We will have a concierge. So the concierge service will be things like want someone to book you a restaurant, order you a taxi, arrange dispatch of a parcel.
That's
dry cleaning.
Like an assistant, like well, not so much that kind of side.
We'll be offering like virtual assistant services, virtual office services, and we're going to launch, I think, October 1st.
Fantastic. It's
called Level Q. I've just set up a Twitter account. So if you look at Level Q on Twitter, it might be The Level Q or something, I don't know. That's me. That's me plugging away, trying to get followers on that. So have a look at that. And the other thing I would plug is one of the charities that I set up is called CEO Sleep Out. And CEO Sleep Out gets executives of any kind to sleep outdoors overnight. They raise sponsorship from their friends, family, contacts, business network. And that money goes into a pot, and we use that to fight poverty and homelessness in a range of different ways. We've got a brilliant event coming up in October at Preston Hall Museum. And there'll be about 50 Teessiders sleeping on the cobbled street there overnight. Really good event, great cause. The purpose of it isn't to network and make contacts, but it is a great source of meeting new people, meeting like-minded people. So please get in touch with you or with me. Look me up on LinkedIn or something on social media. And I'd love to tell you more about that and come on down. We can take teams as well.
We'll make sure everything's linked below in the description.
That would be great.
Find everything.
And I could plug a bunch more stuff, but I won't. So that'd be great. Thank you.
No, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a great pleasure.
Good to chat. Thank you.
So this has been episode 15 of the Teesside Business Podcast. The Teesside Business Podcast is promoted and produced by Person to Person Market.